Okay, it's 35, so we will start. So welcome everybody to our GeoClub meeting. This is our third meeting for the spring 22 semester. Thank you all for coming. All right, so our guest speaker for today is Hannah Ghotbi. She is a UTD alumni. She received her undergraduate here and her master's in geochemistry from OSU. And today she will be speaking about geochemistry in graduate school, a retrospective. So thank you so much for being here. So whenever you're ready, you can share your screen.
Oh, wait, let me get it up.
Okay.
I totally blanked on it. I got something else up and not that one. Although it literally will take a hot second. Like 1 second.
You're totally fine.
I was zoning out because I was formatting something.
A person said, oh wait, you know her. Amanda said, this day has reached God tier, all because of you and Dr. Manton, obviously. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me see if it'll let me. Oh my gosh, everything moved. Yeah. I'm not gonna be dumb. I've done this before.
Do you want me to share it? I can if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's right here. I'm dumb. I got it. I think.
You did it, yes.
Is it going to be mad at me if I do this?
What do you mean?
So I'm presenting it, but for some reason it's like on different screens. Oh, okay, it's doing correctly. Okay, what's up? There's the title. Oh yeah, so in this presentation, I don't really know what I'm gonna be touching on, but it's a quick outline. I'll introduce myself a little bit more. I'll go over what my thesis topic was. I didn't call it like presentation because it's gonna be abridged because I could talk about it forever. And then I'm gonna touch on some of the graduate classes I took, and like if I get a chance to talk about them, yay. And then you can ask me questions if you want. I kind of wanted this presentation to be like a little bit of me explaining what I did in grad school, and then a little bit like if you have any questions in general about like grad school, or like I guess more specifically like the whole process, because like I feel like a lot of people tell you about the beginning and the end, but they don't talk about like actually being in grad school. And every program is different, but like especially for like not especially for the undergrads that want to go into grad school, I just feel like it would be a really good idea to like talk about like the ins and outs of it like every day. And since I'm still pretty fresh from it, I thought it might be a good idea. Okay. I needed y'all to know that I went to UTD and that I took a picture with one of the sassy signs when I was in my like regalia, because why not? I went to UTD from 2013 to 2017. I should have put out as GeoClub president because yes. And that was really fun. And then I went to Oklahoma State from fall of 2018 to spring of 2021. And so my thesis topic is, as I wrote it, like stable isotope investigation of the presence of oceanoxic event 1D in the Mentel Basin. And if you really want to, you can look it up on Oklahoma State's website if you really want to have like a spicy read. It is only 68 pages because I will explain why. But
So this is a person who went on to do she was a student here and she went on to go do
Do you want to mute ourselves?
What?
Do we want to mute ourselves at the bottom left?
Sorry. I got so shook.
There is
oh yeah, and then right now I'm
a way to full screen it as well. Yeah, it'll be up there.
Wait, you gotta mute your screen. Mute your thing. Your computer. Can't you hear me? Whatever. Yeah, so I'm currently a geologist at an environmental consulting firm. That's why I have an office. It's great. Don't do it. Moving on. So in general, it's like, how did I get my topic for grad school? It's kind of backwards. My advisor came back from an IODP expedition, which is International Ocean Discovery Program, and she got a fellowship for one master's student, and that was gonna be me. and she could only focus on collecting delta 15 nitrogen, delta 13 carbon, and TOC or total organic carbon for data points. And that's what will happen in some of these investigations. Oh my gosh, expeditions. What will happen is they'll like have something that they have to do, and they can't really go outside those parameters. So like as much as it was like a freaking fantastic thesis project, it was just like I couldn't really go outside the parameters. And then especially when COVID hit, the people that are also working on my section, and someone was doing trace metals and they were in like France or Germany, and someone was doing grain size analysis and they were in China. So they like stopped working in their lab while I kept working through COVID. So it was like a really good thing that would have happened, that should have happened, was when I was getting my data, they were going to get some data and they'd share it with me and I could use it to back up whatever conclusions I was making in my thesis. But it did not happen. I feel like I'll be looking out for their paper, but that was like the hope, the dream. And then I was like, how does it usually work? Oh, I forgot to take that out. Yeah, not like that. You usually have a question, you get funding, and you start research. But there are some programs, especially like oil and gas. A company will tell a professor like, hey, I want to have this like section of core investigated. Like we've gotten like oil and gas from here, but we want to like investigate it. So that'll be someone's whole thesis project. I was not oil and gas. I just know about it. Okay, so didn't take that out. So basically I just wanted to say like, okay, so what was like my thesis even about? So I just want to break down some parts of my title, starting with stable isotopes and just isotopes in general used to describe variations of an element that have the same atomic number but different mass. And also stable isotopes are more of like the lower weighting isotopes, so more like the delta 15 nitrogen, which is just showing that's a ratio of like higher nitrogen 15. Oh my gosh, yeah. Who's met? Sorry, got distracted by something. So stable isotopes are more of the lower, like not as heavy ones, and so unstable isotopes would basically be like radioactive ones. So stable isotope geochemistry is a really large topic. And then Mentel Basin, it's off the southwest coast of Australia. I got a little map for y'all that I made. And so it's this, now it's not underexplored, but it was a previously underexplored basin off the southwest coast of Australia. And so all these lines are, what do you call them? They were lines that they put down so they could get seismic information from those areas. And then the dots are areas that they drilled. So you have like U1514, U1513, U1516, and U1515. And so the holes that my samples were taken from are the 13 and the 15 ones. Oh yeah, everyone always asks, did you get to go there? I didn't. My advisor did, but did not share. So then also, what are OEEs, or oceanoxic events? So there are these events where there was anoxia or low oxygen content, like really low to zero oxygen content in the oceans. And they mostly happen around, oh my God, around like 200 million years ago to possibly maybe 55 million years ago. And so this is from a paper called, it's Jenkins 2010. It's basically like talks about a lot of OEs, and he's one of the people that discovered it in Jenkins 1976, or Jenkins and somebody else 1976. And so the ones in pink were the ones that he, like this author deemed were actually global events, that were like the world's oceans were depleted in oxygen globally. And the smaller ones are thought to be more like variable and just on more local bases. And so my event, oh my gosh, my event, OE1D occurred maybe like 99 to 99.5, or 99 and 100 million years ago possibly, and it's called OE1D, or the late Aptian, or the Bryce-Roffer event. So just got a lot of names. Like I know the Bryce-Roffer event came from like the person that actually discovered the basin in which it was first identified in 1929. I forget, but in the southwest coast of France. So if you have more questions about it, I can talk more about it. I'm just trying to gleam over stuff. And so I kind of wanted to show, just in case, like how I sort of like finally put my hypothesis and my objectives out. Because when I was first starting, for some reason, I didn't quite understand how to do it, which was really strange because you think it's kind of easy, but I don't know, it just wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. So my hypothesis was that my OEE, like this event, which had widespread low oxygen oceans, and that mostly happened because of releases of carbon. And so I didn't show y'all. Most of this time is actually during the Cretaceous. So if you notice, this is like 65 million years ago to like 200. So a little bit is like, I think in the Jurassic. Yeah, this is kind of in the Jurassic, but this is like the Cretaceous. So a lot of this was in the Cretaceous, and the Cretaceous was a stable greenhouse event that is maybe 2 to 5 degrees centigrade warmer than our current environment, you know, depending on where we're at, I think right now in terms of like what the globe's temperature is. But it was warmer, but it was weirdly like stable. So there's like a great paper like, hey, 2008, that's basically like Cretaceous. Why was it so weird? And it's really interesting. And so one of the weirdest things about it was that there are these widespread anoxic events in the ocean. And so one of the actually really cool things is that right now where our climate is going to go, they'll look back on certain events. So like they'll look at PTB, like the Permian-Triassic Boundary Extinction Event, to see what might happen, because that extinction event is the most rapid, it's the fastest extinction event that's happened except for one right now. And they'll also, to my knowledge, they're looking back at the Cretaceous and specifically some of these OEEs to see, you know, how will our oceans behave? And then they're going to see like, you know, how did it behave back then? What was going on and all this stuff? Like, even though, you know, Pangea is breaking up and we have our proto-Atlantic Ocean, at least tells us like in a more restricted like waterway what might happen. And there was a really big ocean, so that's why it's also important to sample all the areas. Oh, that was not me. Okay, so basically, yeah, I hypothesized that the OE I was looking at, OE1D, would have occurred in my sample area in the Mentel Basin, because I said that, you know, this OE is global. That was one of the things I have stated in my thesis. And it featured expanded OMZs, or ocean minimum zones. So those are just like, I thought I put the graphic up here. It's just, these are areas in the ocean where you have maybe the top waters are oxic and have a lot of exchange with the atmosphere, a lot of like fixers or anything like that. And then lower down, you're going to have an area that's more stagnant, that doesn't actually get a lot of oxygen coming in. And so it's going to be an oxygen minimum zone. And sometimes these will expand for whatever reason, like maybe it was circulated somewhat well and the circulation stopped. And there's things like that happening right now in the Baltic Sea, actually. Their ocean minimum zones are expanding pretty rapidly, and it's kind of like intense. And then also oxygen minimum, a really good example we might know since we're in Texas, would be off the Gulf Coast, especially out of the mouth of the Mississippi River. That area will like cyclically become depleted in like oxygen, because we have algal blooms and all that, and we have a lot of nutrient pollution. That's one of like the leading causes right now of oxygen minimum zones that are coming out of areas that have agricultural things in there. And that's also one of the reasons why it's like really cool to look at like ag science a little bit, or at least learn about it. And then also my objectives were I was going to use a combination of proxies to show the OEE, or the oceanoxic event signature, chemical signature. And so I was going to use a delta ratio of carbon-13 for identifying OEEs, and then delta-15 nitrogen for identifying the redox changes. I didn't define redox changes, but redox is just basically like a short way to say oxygen reduction. And so you're just saying like, so what exchange is happening? Like, what is going on? And so nitrogen is really good in open water columns for saying like, what is the oxygen signature? Oh my gosh, what is the oxygen signature if we're looking back? And like another thing specifically about like proxies, when you're looking at them, is that if you want to know how much nitrogen there was, you don't look at nitrogen. You look at something else. So like delta 18 oxygen is the proxy for oxygen, but you don't actually use that to see the oxygen content. Nitrogen will tell you about the oxygen content because it will react certain ways, and it'll have different ratios of its isotopes in relation to what oxygen level we're at. So are we at oxic, where we have a lot of oxygen, suboxic, where the definition changes from paper to paper, but you have some, but you're depleted, or anoxic, where you have little to no oxygen. Nitrogen will behave in different ways, and will have like predominating processes, like denitrification will happen a lot, like it peaks during suboxic time. So then you would know that area is suboxic, you get to see that certain curve. And then, yeah, one of my objectives were study and confirm the occurrence of an understudied OEE. OE1D is not as studied. It also was not studied. In general, it's not looked at throughout the entire globe. There was a bias, but that's just like, it happens. Okay, and I also wanted to show y'all, what I would have liked to happen. And so this is a conceptual model I made to show what I would have liked to see, or what I would think I would have seen in my data set had I gotten like all 3 data lines of data. And one of the really important things about if you're looking at proxies and such is you need, if you're trying to target what's going on during an event, you need to look before, during, and after, because you need to see how these values change and to see if the event actually happens. So if you just target the event, you can't know like if it's any different. So then what I was looking for was a positive spike of delta 13 carbon organic and total organic carbon. And so in a lot of papers for oceanoxic events, this is very diagnostic of the event actually happening. Because when we have less dissolved oxygen in our water column, we're going to have more deposition and like possible sedimentation of this organic stuff, because oxygen is a little bit the enemy of life, or then for sure the enemy of preservation. So if you have more oxygen in your water column, you're going to have more fixers, more animals like to nibble on like organic content and such. And also it's going to just start degrading out this organic material. But as you have less and less oxygen, it's more of it's going to actually make it from like the surface all the way down. And then you're also just going to have like less things degrading it. And so you're going to increase your preservation. Also, it's less oxygen rich. Also, I said delta 15 nitrogen acidified will have positive spikes before and after the OAE, lower values during. And this is because I can talk through another figure a little later if y'all want. I put it at the very end of my PowerPoint, but like I didn't want to get into like the weeds unless anyone wanted to. It's not that complicated of a figure, it's just like a bit more. But delta 15 nitrogen, it will spike when you're in suboxic zones. So I thought, you know, wouldn't it be great if it was going from oxic, suboxic to anoxic, and then while it was anoxic, it went back down to suboxic, oxic. So that is what this blue line is showing. So delta 15 nitrogen by itself will just have a similar lower value when it's oxic and anoxic. So it's lower, possibly oxic, it's going up. Okay, that's suboxic, it's going back down. That's anoxic because we just saw that spike. And so with the carbon, then we could say, okay, this is a lower value. After coming down from a higher value, it's probably anoxic if our carbon is also high during this interval that we have right here. And then, yeah, if data shows conditions indicate by figure, then the OE1D occurred at the basin. Oh my gosh, I forgot the animation still stayed there. That's what I was, that's my bad. I copy and paste this for my thesis presentation, totally forgot I put animation. But yeah, in this interval was where I thought if I see those conditions present, that's where the OE is occurring. Come on. Okay, so what actually happened with my thesis was I used an elemental analysis isotope ratio mass spectrometer, or EA-IRMS, to actually get the data for my samples, and I actually did all the prep work for it. The samples were shipped to my advisor's lab. We had to like ship them to the other 2 scientists, which is how I kind of knew their names and knew a little bit about them. So from like having the ground up sample that me and a bunch of other people like ground up like over so many samples, but my data set had 220 samples in it. And so I prepped and I prepared them, I acidified them, and I ran through a mass spec, and it broke down multiple times. It's part of the reason that my degree took a little longer than 2 years. It took about like 2.5, but like it happens. Like I had to reckon with the fact that I was a scientist and things break, and science just says, okay, you know what, we can still work with this, or you know what, we can do something else right now. You just kind of gotta deal with that at times. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of hard for me sometimes in grad school, just being like, why can't we just use another one? You don't have the money, go use another one. You have one right here. And to my knowledge, it's still broken. But it's fine because I put googly eyes on the control panel. Okay, the more sensitive machine, the more fragile it usually is. I forgot the second eye. At the end of my thesis, I was only actually able to get and like actually talk about one line of data, my delta 15 nitrogen acidified, and I have to use that subscript. I wasn't using it before because usually with that proxy, it's just delta 15 nitrogen bulk. You don't do anything to it because when you acidify it with hydrochloric acid, you are possibly taking away some of the organic nitrogen that's in it, and just like just nitrogen in it, you might be taking it away. So I had to put that subscript there to show that I was using this different method, and that meant I could not directly compare it with other data out there because they use a different method to prepare it. So that's just like kind of important to know for at least my thesis. And so the really important thing about like doing all this was to remind myself it's still new data, you can still make a thesis out of it. And that's almost the most important thing is like, you know, sometimes you might be thinking like, oh, what I'm doing doesn't matter, it's not significant, it's not important, you can't actually contribute to this with this, but you can. And at some point I could get published from my advisor publishing the data I have. So it's pretty freaking cool. Okay, and then also my project objective, it was to determine if the OE occurred at the Mentel Basin using geochemical proxies. And so what I actually ended up concluding was that at one of my, they're called holes. So like at my hole U1513C, there was a possible anoxic interval during the suspected OE interval, and U1516 was possibly, oh, I should have changed that. It was possibly oxic during the suspected interval. But I need more proxies to determine if OE1D actually occurred in my study area. So I need someone else to actually go and get the carbons that I wanted to get. So delta 13 carbon and TOC, but specifically delta 13 carbon, because that is diagnostic of the events. And I also just need more redox proxies, like a lot of trace metals. That'd be great. That are redox sensitive, like copper or vanadium. So I need those to really confirm the redox state. And then stop talking about that for a second and just kind of show y'all, because I thought it might be interesting. I didn't include my thesis hours in this really, but I just wanted to show y'all like all the classes I took aside from thesis hours and just like how that might look. And this is kind of how 5 semesters of grad school looks a little bit. And so it's just kind of like your first semester, you usually front load a little bit and you start like backing off a bit as you get more into your research. And this is just a master's. PhD would be like, oh, go crazy, go stupid. Like you take whatever you want, kind of whenever you want. But yeah, like my first class was freaking organic geochemistry with my advisor. And so my first 3 semesters, I had at least one class every semester with my advisor. And then this class in spring 2020, contaminant hydrogeology, I'm like particularly like happy about because that's kind of when COVID hits, right before it hit. I asked the professor, he had canceled a class somewhat like it, and I really wanted to take it. So I got names, I gave him names of people who wanted to take it. Someone else helped actually like get the class like officially going with the admin. And if I hadn't like pushed for this class to happen, it wouldn't have happened. And we were gonna get a bunch of like field experience with hydrogeology, but then COVID hit. So like we just talked over Zoom and wrote cool papers and stuff. So it was still fun. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be, but like we still made the best of it kind of thing. So I guess I don't really know what else to say about my classes. I was trying not to talk too long about my research. So I will conclude. If y'all want to ask questions, y'all can. If not, then like thanks. Oh gosh. Wait. 1 second. Okay. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much for presenting. Does anyone have any questions? Anybody? I really like your presentation or your thesis topic because it reminds me of what we were talking about earlier. In Earth systems, we're currently learning about like the whole entire like isotope ratios, as I was talking with you about the whole iron shuttle. And I just think it's really cool. It's like I'm able to really understand what you're talking about because of Dr. Manton's class. And it's like, okay, this is application. So thank you for that. Cool topic.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say Dr. Manton came to my thesis presentation virtually. So he has heard me actually talk about this slightly more officially.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what do you think the important things are to look for when you're trying to look for a graduate advisor?
Like actually a really good question. Also, I just want to preface this, not going to say everyone's going to go bombard Dr. Manton, but like I was still at UTD taking one class after I got my degree in like spring 2018. And so I'd go talk to Dr. Manton sometime and I'd ask him sometimes, and I'd ask him like, you know, what should I be looking for in grad programs? Here's what I've applied. Like, what do you think? And when I actually got my future advisor, when she actually signed on, me and him looked at her resume together. And it was like really cool because like he basically was like, no, like this is a good resume. And so when you're looking for an advisor, a really important thing to think about is like, can you ask any of their students that are currently there, like how their lab environment is? And in general, like you don't know how you're going to get along with them. You get lucky when you have a good advisor like I did. But I think the most important thing is to ask about funding, because there's someone at Oklahoma State where like she never really gets funding, she just gets students. And then they spend a lot of their time applying for funding, which nothing wrong with that. It's just, it adds a level of stress if you start out with like no funding. So not saying it's realistic, but if you could start basically looking for like, you know, what is a topic, what is a question I could ask, or even just what's a topic that I think is interesting, and can we create a question out of that? If we can, is it like a trending topic that's actually getting funding right now? And so I would say that's a really important thing, but also just talking to students that are underneath the advisor and saying like, how is it? Like, just tell me how it is. Because in my experience, the grad students don't want to lie. Like no one wants to protect their advisor unless like their advisor is standing right there. Also, if it's a good school, I guess, you know, if it has like the school has funding. Because
Thank you.
yeah, I'll say I just thought of something else too. I'm so sorry. With Oklahoma State, they have a tuition waiver, which is very common in research programs for the graduate school to be like, we'll pay you just a little bit of money, but you won't have to pay tuition. So like that justifies it. But like if you don't have a tuition waiver, it's like a little more rough to like budget it in, like budget in grad school. But with the tuition waiver, it like takes that off of your chest. So if you get an offer letter and that has it, and it has a tuition waiver, it's pretty freaking sweet, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
For sure. So you guys don't want to see my advisor's cool thing? Look at how look at how distorted I made that.
Wait, we actually can't see, so why don't you reshare your screen?
Did it go away?
Maybe. Here, I'm gonna,
Oh my gosh.
here, try it again.
That is crazy. I'll just share this one. Be safe. Oh, now you don't want to actually open up? Did it do it?
No.
Oh God. Was it working at one point?
I don't believe so.
Did y'all think I was crazy?
No. No.
Y'all gotta be this quiet, you know what I mean? Like respectfully.
It's just pretty quiet because normally Zoom meetings, like when we do virtual meetings, and just be pretty quiet.
No, I know. I had a TA over Zoom and I was like, y'all are way too quiet.
Yeah, it sucks. Zoom does suck. I wish this meeting like could have been in person, but like due to the weather and everything, it's like we
Oh, yeah.
just
There are 3 people in this entire office right now, and it's like a 20-person office.
ooh, wow.
Does anyone have any more questions for Hannah?
Well, Hannah, let's see if you can see me now. Hannah, is this being published? Is your supervisor publishing it and putting your name on the paper?
She says she would put my name on the paper if she uses my data, and I don't see a reason for her not to use it. All the data, all the samples have been run by me through the mass spec at least 3 times, but she doesn't like to promise things. So then she said, you know, if we use your data, and I think she will, she's going to publish it. And I think she doesn't want to publish it by itself. She wants to publish it with the carbon data. So I think she's waiting to either have like an undergrad get it or maybe have another master's student incorporate it, who knows. But I think she's just waiting for that. And the fact that someone told me the mass spec is still not running means like there's no way to get it right now. think that mass spec was close to me in age too. It was like 20 something years old.
It is important stuff that you've been doing, because the faculty candidate who's coming next week, on her webpage, she has a picture of the Bernarelli event.
Oh wait, what is that? OE1B?
I'm not quite
No,
sure.
that's 1A. That's 1A, isn't it? Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a cool one. That's OE2. That's my bad. OE2 is like a big one everyone talks about. Not in a bad way. It's just like, it's a big boy OE. That one caused damage. Yeah, that one's right before mine. That is so cool. Well, if anyone wants to read a paper before she comes, I can give y'all a paper recommendation for you to understand all this
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
So literally, I didn't cite it, but I said it. It's like Jenkins. You don't spell it with an I, you spell it with a Y. So it's GJENKYNS 2010. If you find it, it's like a paper about OEs, and it's basically like my baseline for OEs when I was doing my thesis. So he was one of two people that actually coined like what OEs were in 1976, Jenkins and Schlinger. And so if y'all want to just be way too prepared for her, y'all can just read the OE section part of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was always, let me just make sure the right one.
I just put the
No, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Asbesty. And then I can, let me make sure I can find Jenkins and Schlinger. Or you can just go to my thesis and find the citation. Because then this is, you can impress her. I don't know if ResearchGate will let you get this one out, but this is the OG OE one, where it basically sort of says like maybe transgression regression might have caused these events a bit, and it's showing more so evidence in the strata of this happening than for sure than in like any geochemical sense, because it's 1976.
Thank you.
For sure.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for presenting. I think we have to now start our announcements. We really appreciate you being here. Does anyone have any other questions? Because we can do like one more. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. If
It
you want
looks
to
like
say
Dr. Stern raised his hand. Like he had a
okay.
question.
No, he was
Oh.
clapping.
Yeah, that's just a clap. I'll show you what a hand raise looks like.
Yeah, that's a clap.
It's a clap.
That's a hand raise.
Gotcha. I was just glancing and I
This
thought it
is
was
a
the hand
clap.
raise.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, why am I fun for myself?
Okay, I'm gonna share the slides for this meeting now. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
y'all.
Okay, so here are the slides for today. Let's get that shared. Slideshow. So we just had Hannah Ghotbi speak, and now the UT Arlington Planetarium, which Brittany will speak about. Y'all can see my screen, right?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes to
perfect.
both.
So as a lot of y'all know, we're going to the Arlington Planetarium on March 5th. Our time has changed to 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. There was some time conflicts with what we originally thought, so we're sorry about that. But if you could please fill out the form if you want to go. It should be posted on both the Discord and the GroupMe right now. If you have any questions about the planetarium, please let us know. You're allowed to bring a friend. Do they have to be UTD affiliated?
They do.
Okay, if you bring a friend, they have to be UTD affiliated, but you're allowed to bring a friend. But that's basically it. But please make sure that you fill out the form so that you can go. And please keep in mind that we are going to need people for carpooling, and so if you can like hold extra people in your car, that would be really helpful for us to get everybody up there, because we're not sure if we can get UTD vehicles yet. But that's it on the planetarium.
Awesome. Okay.
But I also have a few other announcements that I would like to make before we get started. And I know Katie and Serena are probably going to cover some of this stuff. So as of right now, we are trying to transition from GroupMe to Discord as our main form of communication. We're having too much stuff get lost in translation when people reply to things. So there's a few things out right now that y'all really need to know about. One is the planetarium. One second. Serena has a poll out for undergrads that she really needs y'all to apply to. If you want to run for new officer position, there is an application out for that already. Serena also has a lot of guidelines posted on the process for running for officer.
And I'll be speaking about that today, so.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, there's a link posted on the GroupMe to join the Discord server. There's a department, I'm sorry, there's two different servers. There's a student server and then like the actual GeoClub server. And then, I'm sorry, there's one more thing. I think that's it. Okay, that's it. So it's all the updates that we have for y'all. But y'all please like go through the GroupMe and like take a minute to scroll up until you get to a huge blockchain of me replying to old posts. I just did that to bring everything down. But if y'all can look at that and then please, please, please move to Discord. We're not planning on closing the GroupMe out, but we do need to transition from there. So Katie might post a link on the GroupMe for the Discord again, but everything's up there. I'll just scroll up a little bit. But that's all the announcements that I have. So
yeah, we're gonna cover this in the PowerPoint.
Okay.
In further detail.
Okay, so this gets into, do you want to run for fall officer, fall 2022 to spring 23? So the positions available are all of them. So you can run for president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, webmaster, or mineral czar. And you have until March 6th to decide if you want to run for a position. And the reason why is because of this. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Oh no, where'd my... Okay. Okay, so as you can see, this is a little document. This is what you'll receive if you do decide to run for officer. Today through March 6th, you can fill out the I want to run for GeoClub officer form, which I'm going to show you in a second. Then voting is going to be from March 11th through the 20th. So what y'all need to do is you're going to be filming a video that's around 1 to 1.5 minutes long. You'll need to show your face in the video, just explain why you want to run for the position that you want to run for. If you decide to run for multiple positions, obviously you're only going to get picked for one of them, but you need to film a video for each position. If you have any questions, you have my email here. Here's how to title the video and submit it. And the videos would be due by March 9th. So now I'm going to show you the form y'all will fill out. It takes approximately 2 minutes. It's a very simple form. So this is the form y'all would fill out. It basically says a few of the rules. Elections will be from March 11th through the 20th. It explains a little bit more about the requirements, more requirements, your first name, are you part of the presence? You pick what you want to run for, boom, that's it. That's all you have to do. Once I see that you filled out this form, you'll get a email, which is going to just contain this document. You'll basically follow everything I've said regarding the video, submit it to me, and then I'll create a Google form where everyone can vote starting March 11th. And if you do decide to run in person, you can do that, but you still need to have a video prepared just so I can compile all the videos and send it to everyone in the GroupMe, the Discord, email, etc. It's just really simple if I just have all the videos set out. So if you feel like your speech would be compelling, you can give it in person, but the only people that will see it are the people who at the meeting. So if you have any questions, you have my email, you have my GroupMe, y'all can communicate with me. So that brings us back to this. This just tells you the same stuff. The videos due March 9th, and we will have elections starting March 11th. Okay, so hydro trip.
Alrighty, so Pronto is supposed to speak about this, but he's unfortunately out today, so I will cover for him. So as you guys know, we are hosting you guys to go towards the Texas Hydro Geo Workshop. And if you are interested, all you have to do is scan the QR code on the page, and you have till like March 11. I don't want to say March 14 because we don't want to be scrambling on the final day. So by March 11, if you're interested, please tell us, and then we'll cover the entire $65 for you. After March 14th, if you're still interested, you'll have to pay the remaining balance of $10. So we'll still cover the 65, but the remaining $10, you will cover that. And I highly encourage you to please sign up for this because this is a really, really good event for you to learn more about hydrology. It gives you so many connections with schools all over Texas. It's really fun. From what Pronto attended this last time, and he learned so much about drones. He was able to have like actual real life experience learning the drones, going towards caves. It's really fun. So if you are interested, please scan the QR code and let us know so we can make the payments for you. All right. Ooh, yay, money. So as you guys may have seen, the Geoscience Scholarship is now open for everybody in the Geoscience department, and that's the first scholarship listed here, the Natural Science and Mathematics Geoscience Scholarships. So all you have to do is go to that first link, and then you see a list of various scholarships that are open to both undergrad and grad, or just undergrad. So many ones, and you're able to apply for them. I, again, highly encourage you to apply for these because this is money that has been made available to help you with your studies. For whatever reason, whether you need it or you don't need it, it's really helpful and can be super beneficial to you if you get the scholarship. So I encourage you for all the remaining three. I mentioned these at the last meeting, but the first one is a new one that just opened up. So if you are interested, please apply. And if you know someone who the scholarship can be really beneficial to, I encourage you to share it to them. And all of these links will be put in the GroupMe and the Discord.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so internships.
Yay. So to put it simply, internships are a really good opportunity for people to network and have real life world experience. We're all in school now and we have great opportunities to meet with our professors, to have class experience. But sometimes it's also beneficial to take what you've learned in class and apply it in an actual field experience. So these are some internships that are currently still open. Some of them are open till April, some of them are open till March. There's variety. There's some that's in the oil industry. There's some that are environmental industry. There's some that's mainly geology focused. Some of them that's geophysics or GIS. If you have interest in any of these and you meet the criteria, I encourage you to apply for them. And something to also be aware of is that two things. First of all, even if you don't meet all of the qualifications on the page, maybe on a particular internship, there are like 10 qualifications and you only meet 8 or 6. You should still apply. You should not feel like, oh, okay, I only need 6. I should not bother applying, because no, those qualifications sometimes for some jobs is for perfect candidates. There's no such thing. If you even have 8 5s of the qualifications they require, I still encourage you to to apply for these internships or for jobs, whichever one you're applying for, and then use your interview to sell yourself, because an interview is a conversation, it's not an interrogation. It's during that interview that you explain to the company or whoever you're applying to that like you were right for this and you're ready to put in the efforts to become the perfect candidates. So please, if that's something that's holding you back, I encourage you to still put yourself out there and try, because it's really beneficial to you as you go into the working world. And then the second thing for these internships is that I found a lot of these via LinkedIn. So if you are not on LinkedIn, please start gathering up your documents, your papers, and make a LinkedIn profile, because it's really helpful when planning your internships or job career. All right, thank you.
I really like what you said about a job interview not being an interrogation, but a conversation. Very true. Okay.
Alrighty, so we got our socials. So as Brittany mentioned, we did create a Discord for UTD GeoClub in which you could scan there. That's going to be our new main primary form of communication. We're not getting rid of the GroupMe, but we're going to use it a little bit more just like general announcement style for the people who don't necessarily want to go to Discord. So it's not going to be as much of a chat space. We're hoping that the general chat on our GeoClub Discord will actually be used as the chat space instead for the people that choose to switch over, just because it'll help us stay a lot more organized. You know, it's a lot more visually appealing and easier to find information that doesn't get buried with like people talking. Because I want to encourage people to talk about, you know, different things and, you know, anything relating to GeoClub without it actually becoming confusing and hiding important news information from us. So there's that. Again, Facebook, super great spot for alumni. The TikTok, if you want to see like me show off our mineral collection and all of you know, just silly geology TikTok videos. I run that account, and then Serena announces a lot of new stuff on the GeoClub Instagram, so that's kind of what all those are used for. We'll go to the next slide, please. And so here we have the UTD Geoscience Student Discord. There's this little scan app. It was created by Stacia. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and if Serena will stop sharing so I can go ahead and show you all these Discords. All right, so here's the GeoClub Discord, and obviously there's the event going on right now that's, you know, we're having here. So a little bit about it. So I have it set up as we have four main categories. We have information, text channels, our trip channels, and then our voice channels. The first thing you're going to want to do is come in and read all the welcoming rules that kind of tell you the channel directory and kind of what these are used for. You'll come in and read that, and then you'll pick your roles, which whatever ones you interact with on here will actually show up in your little profile here where your roles are. So like obviously I'm the secretary, and I have my pronouns here. And the important thing to know is that to react to stuff about, you know, the different trips, because this will actually unlock these chats for you able to be in, and these will be our main forms of communication for our trip. We'll be sending pictures and all that sort of stuff in these chats, so, and requesting documents and all that sort of forms from y'all here. So you'll have these roles available to you, and then you text in general of whatever you want to do. We have an upcoming news event, an upcoming events channel that basically just talks about our upcoming events, including some of the stuff we're going to be covering today. This is also linked with the Geoscience Studio server as well. So our news and events here is actually linked to the news channel on there for GeoClub. So it's the same stuff, so you don't have to double check twice. It's, you know, it just posts there from the server. So we added some like little lounge chat situations, so you're not clogging up general in when you're doing a different meeting room and talking about things. If you have to send pictures or whatever you need to send, you can actually send it with the correlating meeting room chat. So I brought those down there for y'all. So I want to talk a little bit about the Geoscience student server. This is an unofficial server. I want to clarify that. There is no faculty on here. So there are grad students, but they have their own separate role to where they cannot see any of the channels here. So they will get locked out of those, but having grad students opens up the ability to have the Ask a Grad channel. And so you can ask a graduate student any sort of questions you're having about, maybe grad school or just related things, and they could get back to you there. You have like the general chat and all that sort of stuff. You have the roles, the channel directory, and kind of how to use this sort of stuff, which is a good thing to reference when you first get here. And announcements from, the student server. It's a place for you to be able to vent about your courses and talk about them and upcoming things and have discussions based on them. You also want to introduce yourself, kind of a little bit about you. I've introduced myself a little bit further up here. I kind of about like, what got me into the geosciences. There's that pinned message up at the top that, you just basically introduce yourself and keep further discussion in the gen chat and, talk about what got you into the geosciences. But yeah, also GeoClub news and events. This is the announcements channel that is connected to our server. So everything I announced in the server of our upcoming events, that shows up here. And so you can react to that here as well. And then we have our GeoClub chat here. In the case that you don't want to, you talk about different things. You can also talk about it on ours. It's just for people who have not yet joined our server really, but it's got our pinned message here to where you can join our server. They're both connected. I have that set up on ours too. The unofficial department Discord, where it's basically just, I gave y'all the link so y'all can go and back and, see it and all that sort of stuff. But that's our Discord stuff, and that's kind of how we're going to be using it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, now this announcement regarding the Geo undergrads meeting the faculty candidates. The time that Leah has kind of mentioned is that 12:30 to 1:30 would be the best time for us undergraduates to meet. 12:30 to 1:30 on Tuesdays would be the best time for us to meet the candidate. So I'm going to ask y'all directly, and if you can, just tell me if that time works for y'all. She just wants a general number. If it doesn't, y'all can go and fill out the form that she sent to all the geoscience students' emails. So just real quick, just say yes or no. That way, if everyone kind of says yes, we can decide on this time. But if y'all don't like this time, wait, okay, so yeah, okay, so if y'all can answer like right now in the chat whether Tuesday 12:30 to 1:30 works, that would be good. If not, everyone has to fill out the form. The form is in your email, so I'll give you all a few minutes to do that.
The
Okay.
form is quite long, I will say, just because it just has a lot of options. It actually isn't that daunting.
Yeah, it
If
is.
you kind of know your week to week, you'll be able to answer it pretty quickly.
Yeah. So that's why she said during the meeting, if y'all could just give us a yes or no, like, then we can just decide right now, because that form was very long. It's a beautiful form, but it is long. So you can prevent filling out the form if you just type in the chat. Okay, so registering for GeoClub.
Yeah. So GeoClub, we need y'all registered on Presence still to be able to file paperwork at the SOC to bring y'all on trips. So it's actually quite important. It's just the same stuff. If you're registered on there, you can go with us, and that's basically it. It's pretty easy. You'll go to Presence and search GeoClub, and then you'll click that little join button that's circled in red, and then it'll show that you're a member, and then it'll add y'all to our roster.
Okay, and this brings us to our mineral giveaway. We have 2 minutes left. So usually what we do is we kind of just make a little generator where a number is picked. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search that up real quick.
Looks like we have 21 participants.
Okay, let's. Okay, so I'm going to base the name off of
You might want to subtract 5 real quick.
No, I'm just gonna go down and then skip. So I'm pulling up the participant list, which y'all probably can't see, but just trust me, or I can show y'all. Okay, so 15. So 1, 2, 3. Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah, we can in fact not see that list.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Let's share that. If I share my whole entire screen, can y'all see?
No.
Okay, hold on. Oh my god, this is wonderful. What's this technology?
It's fine. We'll just go through and announce who it is.
Okay. Can you do that then? Can you go and use yours to just
Go
count
through.
on?
So it's 15, correct?
Yeah. If it lands on us, just go to the next person.
Nathaniel Brown.
All right. Well, congrats, Nathan, for winning a mineral. So the winner will receive this grossular garnet. And yeah,
Yeah, Nathan, if you want to either DM me or at the next meeting, whatever works best, you can just come by and pick it up.
Indeed, very nice. It is a very pretty grossular garnet.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming. This brings us to 1:31. Yeah.
Thank y'all. Have a great day.
Thanks, y'all too. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Meeting recording will be up later today.
Thank you.